Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and welcome to another exciting game of StarCraft 2. This one is being played once again by WhiteRa. He is better known in these replays as Duckload Ra, but he's the red Protoss down here in the bottom left corner of Xel'Naga Caverns, and his opponent today is going to be Mao's MaNa, the yellow Protoss, up here in the top right corner. So a lovely PvP on a map everyone knows and loves. It is Xel'Naga Caverns, like I just said. It is one of the few maps that has not been bounced in and out of the Battle.net 1v1 ladder maps, and as far as I know, no real changes have been made to it either. It's just a very solid map that has gotten a lot of recognition as being a very balanced map for essentially every matchup. That's why you see it so often in tournaments and casts and things like that, or on ladder. Just nobody really has it thumbs down. It's kind of, you know, just a very balanced map, I believe, and that's one thing that Blizzard did get right with their map making team. It seems like almost every other map has undergone some change. I'm struggling to think of one that hasn't. Even Scrap Station. I mean, Scrap Station has a sort of notoriety for being Zerg favored. It hasn't actually had a lot of change, but it was changed. In fact, those destructible rocks by the natural expansion on Scrap Station, those weren't always there. Blizzard had to add those. It used to be very easy to just slip into that back door of your natural and be very hard to defend from both sides, so they added destructible rocks. Xel'Naga Caverns started with destructible rocks in the several places that you can find them, and it just hasn't been altered at all. So I don't know, just trying to think of something to say during this beginning part of the game. It is a PvP, and it has been a while since I've cast a PvP, mostly because they seem to end very quickly these days, and MaNa and WhiteRa are two of the very best Protoss players in all of Europe, so they will give us a nice little update on what has been happening in Protoss versus Protoss lately. This is a patch 1.3 game, as you can tell by the brand new replay feature up here in the top right. You can actually see everyone's mineral counts and supply counts, so I don't have to click between units. It used to be if I wanted to see someone's supplies or mineral count, I would have to click on a unit that they control, just so I could look up in the top right and see what's going on up there. But now I have the luxury of being able to have that open all the time, so I can just leave the production tab open all the time too. No real reason to switch around very much. I can even pull up a secondary tab, such as APM. Bam! There we see MaNa's APM is actually really high. Holy crap, over 300 here just for the early game. He's just spamming, of course, and I believe his probe micro here around WhiteRa's base is a big part of that as well, but that's actually a very high APM, I'm surprised. But WhiteRa hanging out at a comfortable 80. Either way, APM has never won someone a game. It's exactly what you do with your actions per minute that actually matter. MaNa back at home, just now getting up pylon number 3. Still no additional tech after that cybernetics core is completed. Here we do see a second gateway being plopped down. Looks like WhiteRa is just a few seconds ahead of him, but he did do a little bit of a different strategy. Dropped 2 pylons and then gateways number 2, 3, and 4, and then got a third pylon, whereas MaNa actually got a third pylon and then a second and third gateway. So looks like he is playing it just a little bit more economical, perhaps. Let's look at the harvester count and see that MaNa is in fact ahead, 23 to 20 harvesters. Army tab, we see that I'm going to get confused because it's a PvP and there's all these new caster tools, but WhiteRa is red. I must remember that. I should call him Red Ra so that I don't forget. But MaNa is our yellow/gold player, and I think Protoss actually looks best in gold just because their buildings have so much gold on them already. It just looks right to see like yellow probes. They look gold to me, but yeah, accented. But WhiteRa starting to move across the map now. He is going to be the aggressor that we know and love. MaNa is getting a robotics facility instead of a 4th warp gate, so if he can live long enough, he might actually be able to hold this off with a well-timed Immortal, nice chrono-boosted Immortal. He does have 2 sentries here at his ramp, so that of course is going to help him keep everything at bay here. I'm going to just highlight the sentries here so we can watch that little force field icon. Once he runs out of energy for force field, it's going to be a different story though. WhiteRa now has the ability to warp up into the main. There we see he actually does warp on the other side of that force field, so that is going to be hard for MaNa to deal with. It's hard. You have to place a lot of force fields to prevent that from actually happening. and WhiteRa is going to be chased out of here. I think MaNa does have the unit advantage here still, and now we see this robotics facility roaring to life with a chrono boost. WhiteRa not really doing anything else at home, so I am actually going to pull away the minimap and the sort of UI that we are so familiar with because I can, and this will get us a better view at warp-ins and things like that. I'm just going to leave this battle raging here at the top. We can see in the production tab if WhiteRa actually tries to expand or build any additional tech, but right now it looks like he is intent on just warping in Zealots, trying to kill off the last of MaNa's units here, and it looks like he might actually be able to finish them off, but no, the Immortal does finally arrive and does help take out these Zealots very quickly, and MaNa can just use his 3 warp gates to continue warping in Zealots, and I think he will be able to actually battle this off. He pulled a lot of probes there to help kill off the Zealots, but basically they're just pinning them in place for this Immortal and Zealot combo to actually finish them off. This Immortal, I do want to pull up the tab once again just to see how many kills he's got now. And he does have 4 kills already, make that 5 here in just a moment. Well, looks like a Zealot sniped the kill from him, but MaNa's Immortal really changing the tide of this battle. Now he has a second one out, and WhiteRa really has no chance of continuing this assault all the way to a GG. So MaNa winning the build order rock, paper, scissors, as it's been referred to in this matchup. He did actually manage to hold off the 4-gate rush, and now WhiteRa is going to have to struggle to figure out something else. MaNa is getting a robotics facility, or actually a robotics bay back here, so that he can build Colossi here soon. WhiteRa back at home does not even have a robotics facility anywhere. In fact, it is still warping in very slowly here comparatively to MaNa. And neither player actually looking like they want to expand just yet, although MaNa does have a probe coming out here, and he does have enough minerals to actually do it soon. So yes, he is queuing up a Nexus now. MaNa is going to be the first one to expand, and he has the luxury of being able to do that since he does have the superior supply count, 45 to 30, as you can see there in the top right. And he's going to send a probe on down to WhiteRa's base. He's going to see this pylon, obviously, so he's just going to bring his Zealots and Immortal to come kill that off while his probe continues along the Xel'Naga watchtower. Probe on probe could actually have a little bit of a fight, but I doubt it, unless WhiteRa actually engages here for no reason. But WhiteRa still struggling as he loses that pylon by the gold base. He actually is taken under supply, his own supply cap, I should say, not the supply cap. 35 over 34. He's going to have to rebuild another pylon before he can build any more units. Now that that facility is done for WhiteRa, he is getting a robotics bay up now, but it is so significantly slower than MaNa, and he's so far behind in supply right now. Harvester count as well, still favoring MaNa, that this game is just sort of lopsided in MaNa's favor. If this game were a scale, actually, let's use the little tug-of-war graphic there. We see worker supply and army supply both heavily favoring MaNa. Oh, WhiteRa actually just pulled ahead there. Look at that tug-of-war style graphic. I like that. It's pretty cool, but we'll hide that for now as we watch MaNa's army start to move across the map. Passes by the Xel'Naga Tower. No, he is actually going to double back because WhiteRa somehow slipped a probe into his base, and I think MaNa did actually see the probe. He's got his Colossus coming over here now to check things out. Is he going to see the pylon? Yes, he will. He's just barely out of range right now, though, and extended thermal lances are not quite done yet. They are significantly farther ahead than WhiteRa's, though. But this actually did buy WhiteRa enough time to get a Colossus chrono boosted out and to get his extended thermal lances started. However, MaNa is still far ahead on army supply. If we just pull up that graphic one more time, 37 against 18, we'll see that he's still sitting pretty. And his Nexus is done, but he forgot to set a rally point until just now, so we saw 2 idle probes there. WhiteRa still has not expanded, so it looks like he's moving through the middle of the map with some hope of trying to win the game. Actually, a Nexus is going down now. His gas is actually getting pretty high, so he can build another Colossus as soon as he gets the minerals. Instead, he is actually getting an Observer out quickly instead of another Colossus, which I would advise against since MaNa is so far ahead of him. Here we go. MaNa starting a march through the middle of the map. He's got vision all over the map, making sure WhiteRa isn't coming from some other angle. And now we see just an advantage in MaNa's favor, like we've seen the entire game. 2 Immortals and 2 Colossi against a very paltry mix of Tier 1 units and a single Colossus. I don't think WhiteRa is going to be able to do anything here. Oh, and he does GG before even losing that Colossus. He just GG's out of there. So that's going to be Game 1 between MaNa and WhiteRa for this best of 3 series for the Black Dragon League. Let's go into Game 2 and see what happens next.